Hey everyone, this is Josh from Visto.ai. I am here with Marco Ritondo. Marco, thanks so much for coming on Talent Tips today.
Thanks a lot, Josh, and happy Monday. I'm really excited to be here today with you all, and I'm ready to introduce myself and see how I can help all newcomers across the globe. And I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. I was just saying before we started that I think this will be all of our episodes I think are interesting, but this will be a cool one because your role is not the traditional kind of in a private company recruiter. So can you tell us just a little bit more about yourself and your background and what your role is?
Definitely, Josh. So my name is Marco Ritondo. I'm the manager of employer engagement at World Skills Employment Center. And World Skills is a nonprofit organization, and we're funded by RCC. And our main objective is to provide support to newcomers to our region with employment related services. So in my role, I'm constantly engaging with our current and new employers in Ottawa and in Ontario in different capacities, either as an organization, but also individually through mentorship and volunteering. But the end goal is always to get more immigrants connected to meaningful employment. And prior to joining World Scales, I also bring that recruitment aspect as well, because I recruited for 5+ years in three major Canadian cities in Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa.
Very cool. So I'm going to put not much of a spin, but our second question is always three tips that you'd give to foreign skilled workers looking to land a job in Canada. I think this will be really cool because this is what you live and breathe all day, right? Specifically foreign talent. So what three tips do you have for us, Marco?
Yeah, definitely. Great question. So the first tip I would give is to understand the intercultural differences between Canada and your home country. And
Hmm.
I'll give you an example what I mean by that relate to employment. So in some cultures, Josh, it's actually disrespectful to maintain eye contact for long periods of time.
Hmm.
So just to give there's cultures like Asian, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, and some African cultures. So I'll give you actually a real life example of a coaching call I had with this potential immigrant to Canada. He was from Nigeria, and he told me that in some parts of Nigeria, that's disrespectful to look your supervisor in the eyes. So just imagine this Nigerian candidate comes to Canada, goes for his first interview, and he's not maintaining eye contact with the interviewer.
Hmm.
So, and this is the complete opposite in Canada, right? We have to maintain eye contact to show that you're engaged, that you're actively listening, and that you're interested in the role. And by not maintaining that eye contact, the interviewer, if he doesn't know about this little thing about the culture in Nigeria or in those other cultures I mentioned, they might think he's passive, he's not interested, he's maybe distracted looking at his cell phone, and he might end up prematurely pre-screening out this candidate, even though this candidate could be maybe his next top employee. So it's the little
Hmm.
things that make a big difference. And keep in mind, you only have one shot at making a good first impression. So that's
Absolutely.
the first part about interviews. So I'll also give another aspect around resumes. So in some cultures, you're not supposed to brag about your accomplishments. And again, it's the complete opposite in Canada. You have to humble brag about your accomplishments to stand out. And just give you another example, I met someone from Morocco, and they told me it's not common practice to brag about your accomplishments because it's like you're seen as like arrogant. So when she sent me a resume, I told her right away, I'm like, you're as a project manager, you have to talk about your accomplishments. Like, was it a complex project? What was the size of the project? Was it like a $5-10 million project? And also talk about your individual accomplishments. Because if you're only talking about your tasks, if you're competing to like other project managers in Canada, you're gonna have a hard time getting in front of getting that interview and actually selling yourself to that interviewer.
Hmm.
And the last part I'll mention around intercultural differences is around networking. So you do have different forms of communication, like direct and indirect forms of communication. I'll talk relate to like online networking. So for a direct form of communication, it could be like, "Hi Marco, here's my resume. Find me a job in Canada." So this approach doesn't work because in Canada it's all about relationship building, right? It's not just what you can get out of me; it's what we can get out of each other and help each other out in the process.
Hmm.
And an indirect form of communication is complete opposite. It's all they use like a storytelling approach before getting to the point. So they'll send me like a long text, like a LinkedIn message. giving me their whole journey of their career, say I got 15 years experience there, this is my competencies, and at the end of the message they'll say, find me a job. So again, this doesn't work. And the analogy that I use when I talk to newcomers is, picture you're going to be on the street and you're going to be talking to 10 different strangers. You're not going to say the same thing 10 times. You're going to adjust your conversation according to what they're saying. So you definitely want to personalize your approach, because the thing is, when you're using this long type of communication, most of the time you're copy pasting to like hundreds and hundreds of recruiters. There's no personalization whatsoever. So you're less likely to get a response that way. And the thing is, there's no excuse for you not to do research, because there's so much information on a LinkedIn profile that you can use to make that first introductory message. Like for example, for me, you can say, Marco, I noticed you're working in the settlement sector. I listened to all your tips on Josh's show, and I would love to learn more about you and how, and also pick your brain on how I can find work in Canada. So,
Absolutely. It's really great stuff, and it's almost interesting from both sides too, Marco, because maybe like part of what we're trying to do too with the show is show the other side to Canadian employers, right? Obviously Canadian employers have to make good decisions and hire the right people, but maybe they can be a little bit more open-minded when they get some of these different behaviors or different forms of communication and stuff like that, because those behaviors come from something, right? It's from the culture that they're coming from. But really interesting, especially for those looking for their first job in Canada.
the second tip I had is invest a lot of time in understanding how LinkedIn works and how to optimize your LinkedIn profile for your job search. Because the thing is, I've talked to a lot of newcomers from around the world, and in some countries, it's not common practice to use LinkedIn and also network with strangers. You're only supposed to stay within your circle of like friends, family, and colleagues. And it's almost like you're seen as like a snake oil salesman if you're reaching out to strangers, like you're trying to sell them something all the time. But the thing is, in Canada, it's completely different. Like you're supposed to network, and you're not bothering some, obviously, depending on your approach. So it's important for, like I said, to really personalize your approach on LinkedIn. But it's also, before you go into networking, make sure that you have that optimized profile. Like make sure you have completed all the sections from like the about section, have like a clean profile picture that's professional, and you can even include a background image, because the analogy I use is, picture your LinkedIn profile as a business and you're the product. So you want to make sure that the information that appears on your profile is enticing either a recruiter or even a hiring manager to read more about you and to schedule those interviews, and hopefully resulting in more offers. But the technical side of LinkedIn is, I know not a lot of people know this, is that it uses an algorithm and keywords. So the more you complete your profile, the more you're going to pop up in the recruiters and hiring managers searches. So instead of you always having to chase recruiters, they're going to be chasing you with employment opportunities. And LinkedIn actually rewards active users on LinkedIn. So if you're posting your own original content, if you're engaging on other people's posts, like liking and commenting, you're getting more engagement. And you never know how many people are in that person's network, right? You can have someone that has like 20,000, 30,000 people in their network, and you're getting exposure to that network. And I'm sure maybe one person or more can help you relate to employment. And
Absolutely.
the last point I had is, always try diversify your job search strategies, and also know your worth. And what I mean by that is, don't just rely on going on the company website and applying to the position and just sit back and hope you get a response, because this is a very reactive approach to job searching, because there could be 200 applicants for the same job. And if you're doing the same thing as them, you might wait a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months. So what I suggest is, be proactive, like find the opportunities on the website, and try to connect with a recruiter that works at the organization to learn more about their role, about the organization. And then once you jump on a call with them, you can, this is the part where you sell your value and sell how you're a good fit for that role. And also go to networking events online, especially if you're still overseas. Go to events that are within your sector to learn as much as you can about the Canadian workplace, learn about the certifications that are needed for your profession. And because the more prepared you are prior to your arrival, the faster you're going to transition in Canada and hopefully secure work a lot quicker as well. And
Mm-hmm.
also know your worth. And what I mean by this is do the research about your profession in Canada and find out what the range is paying for the years experience that you have. Because I'll give you an example. Too many times newcomers think that you have to have that famous Canadian experience, and it's not the case. There's employers out there that recognize your true value and will compensate you fairly according to your experience. Because I can tell you from my last role when I did IT recruitment, I was speaking to this IT candidate. He just arrived in Canada within 2 weeks, and he had amazing experience. He had 10 years experience in IT. He worked for IBM India. And when I asked him, like, what's the salary range you're looking for? He's like, oh, I'll take $20 an hour because someone told me just take whatever you can get to get that first Canadian experience. And then I stopped him in his track. I'm like, no, you got 10 years experience in IT. You've worked for IBM. You should easily be asking for 90K as a minimum. Because right now with 10 years experience, you're going from like upwards of 100K plus. And so that the one thing is don't undersell yourself. Like know what your worth is, and you'll see. Because the thing is, it could be detrimental to your job search as well, right? If you're asking an entry level salary, it also raises a lot of red flags. Like, why are they asking such a low salary? Is there something wrong with
Mm-hmm.
their experience, or are they trying to hide something? So I just want to. That's one thing I want to mention is don't worry so much about the Canadian experience because your international experience is valued, and the right employers will recognize that.
Absolutely. That's great advice, Marco. Thanks very much for sharing. Our third question is so a little bit about the roles that you or maybe the companies you're working with are hiring for right now.
Definitely. So since we're an employment center, we do work with a variety of different employers in different sectors, from private, public, and nonprofits. So we do have like a lot of opportunities within project man, business analysts, and we do have some IT roles as well, and also in the trades as well. If you're looking to get into like warehousing or general labor, so we do have a variety of different roles. If you're looking for great opportunities and you're in the Ottawa region, definitely reach out to us because I'm sure we can help you find meaningful work in your sector. And also, I just forgot one point I want to mention, and my third tip is definitely utilize recruitment firms and employment centers like World Skills, because the thing is they do have preferred relationships with
Mm-hmm.
recruiters and hiring managers, and we can get you in front of the recruiters and hiring managers a lot quicker than if you're applying on a position on your own.
And I think that so you guys focus on the Ottawa region, but I think there's centers like that all over the country, right? In different cities as well.
Exactly, exactly. You just have to do a quick search on Google, like right, like settlement agencies or employment centers for newcomers, and they're definitely across Canada. And like I said, I just want to give a shameless plug. World Skills, we're nonprofits, so all the services are free to job seekers. So utilize as much as you can because like you'll learn so much about the Canadian workplace, and there's a lot of different services and programs that you can benefit from that
Mm-hmm.
can get you to your eventual dream job.
Absolutely, and we'll make sure to link to that in the description. Marco, our last question is who else in the recruitment, HR talent, or people space in Canada do you want to give a shout out to?
So there's two close contacts of mine that come to mind. So there's Jordana Matsos from Hamilton, Ontario. So she actually built a recruitment firm that's very innovative and disruptive in this space because her business model is that she only wants to work with employers that share the same value as her, and she's trying to break like the biases and the discrimination practices in the recruitment space. So, and she's very vocal on LinkedIn regarding DEI, and also she also provides a lot of amazing tips for professionals in sales and marketing and customer success managers. So definitely go on her page and follow her because she gives a lot of great advice that can help you in your job search. And secondly, I want to give a shout out to Marina Bajanova. She's based out of Montreal, originally from Ukraine. And I met her almost 7 years ago, and she does amazing work for newcomers. And even the peak of she opened up her calendar to any newcomers that were struggling with their job search, or even just to chat because maybe they're struggling with their mental health. And she did this all for free because she wanted to give back to newcomers because she knows how difficult it is to be a newcomer in Canada. Like they do face different challenges and biases in the employee journeys, and she definitely does a lot of work to help them. And she also is a strong advocate of working with World Skills, and she's done a few coaching events for job seekers and provide amazing guidance and insights for job seekers.
Awesome. Well, I'll have to reach out. We're actually having Jordana on the show, so keep an eye out for that episode. And it's part of why I asked the question, to get good references for new and exciting guests. Marco, thanks so much for coming on the show. Maybe just give one more plug to the organization, and if people want to reach out to you specifically, where do you recommend they go?
Yeah, definitely. So you can go to our website, and I can always once you post it, Josh, onto LinkedIn, I'll post any relevant links to get connected with World Skills, and we'll meet you, create your profile, and discuss your career journey to see what type of services you can benefit from at World Skills. And it's not just those that are landed in Ottawa. We also support talent that's overseas that receive their permanent residency through our SOPO program, which is Settlement Online Pre-Arrival. And they support with employment-related services, organize employer information sessions to hopefully get talent that's overseas connected to employment prior to their arrival.
Awesome. We'll link to those in the description. Marco, thanks again for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Josh.